We're back for the second string of the Pro Series Playoffs round of 16 matches with Skip Easterbrooks against Chris Sacchetti and Shawn Baker against Bob Whitcomb. And Skip Easterbrooks starts off with a really tough shot there. He takes out the 1-3-6. Look at this. He just takes out the 1-3 and 6 clean. The ball is deflected around the 10, and everything, they all go into the pit. So he has a really tough leave there. It's pretty unusual. And a nice bid by Skippy. He almost makes the spare out of that shot. I'm not sure if I've ever seen that leave clean with no wood before. I have seen it with the head pin sticking around as a piece of wood, but that was really strange. Anyhow, Skip begins with a 9. You'll recall that Skip is leading by 22 coming into the second string of this 2-string match. Over on the other side, Bob Whitcomb steps up against Shawn Baker. Bob is trailing by 27. Having begun with a 114 string while Shawn Baker was throwing a 141. Skip Easterbrooks misses the head pin, leaves the Caleri. And meanwhile, Bob Whitcomb missed that 10 pin. He'll take a 9 box there. That ball slipped off into the gutter and came back out. Skip is not quite able to convert the Caleri. Very difficult. One of the most difficult of the routine spare leaves that we see. And that'll be another 9 box. So Skip has 18 after 2. And Bob Whitcomb with another 9 drop. This time he's got the 4 pin and a piece of wood next to it. And he's got that for a spare in the second. Badly needed if he's going to come back from the 27 pin deficit. Chris Sacchetti on lane 36. He's got a little bit of an opening because Skip Easterbrooks threw a couple of 9 boxes in the first 2, so Chris could reduce that 22 pin deficit. Shawn Baker back up on lane 38. He drops 9. He's got the 5 pin. Wow, and Chris Sacchetti tried to convert that 8-10. Tried to use the wood, but he wasn't able to get anything to go back to the 10 pin. That'll be a 9. As Shawn Baker converted the spare in the first. Chris Sacchetti, as I mentioned, was the number 7 seed in the Bowler of the Year points standings. He actually won 2 doubles tournaments this year on the Pro Series with his partner Dave Godwin. They were pretty tough to beat. And Shawn Baker put 6 on the spare and then wasn't able to convert the 4-6-7-10 split, so he'll be trying to check 10, and he's got a 9, so he'll have 25 after 2. Skip Easterbrooks and Bob Whitcomb coming back up. Skip with a nice 1-2 pocket hit. He leaves a 5-9 all by itself. He'll have a clean shot at it. I think there's a piece of wood that needs to be removed. Peter Pereira goes down to take it out, or down to look at it. And Skip converts that 2-pinner for the spare in the third box. And Bob Whitcomb with a tough piece of wood there in front of that 2-4-5 triangle. It looked like he was trying to go very high on it to push it back to cover the triangle, and he, as it turned out, he went by it altogether. And you can see there it was kind of a roadblock. He went up on the cap, and he was going to have to be pretty precise there in order to convert the triangle. Skip with a 7 drop, 7 fill on the spare in the third. Bob Whitcomb again with a 9 drop and a plank, so he's most likely looking at another spare on lane 37. Not a problem. Wow, Chris Sacchetti just missed the head pin, but that 2 kind of went flying over the 7, so he left the Caleri plus the 7. Very difficult leave, and just a 4 fill on the spare, which is kind of disappointing because he obviously needed to take advantage of that spare to cut into the lead held by Skip. And because Skip just had those 2 additional spares in the third and fourth, obviously Chris has some work to do. Shawn Baker looking at 3, 6, and 7 with a piece of wood, and he's got it. Nice shot there. I think the ball went over to take out the 7 on that spare. So it's been alternating spares and opens for Shawn and Bob Whitcomb in the first 4. And Shawn with a nice pocket hit there, but not much of a leave. He's got the 4, 7, 8, 9. Piece of wood at an angle in front of the 9 that he might be able to use, but it's hard to see how he could cover all 4 pins with that. Not very, and he made a great try. He was able to get the 7, 8, and 9 out of there, but just couldn't quite get anything to come forward and catch the 4 or get the wood to sweep over. I think if he had probably hit the wood lower, it might have covered the 4, but it would have gone in front of the 9. So that was a very difficult leave. So it is that alternating spares and opens pattern for Shawn and Bob. Which is okay for Shawn because he's leading. And there is another strike by Skip Easterbrooks on lane 36. Look at this high flush 1-3 pocket, and the 2-pin comes flying off the wall to take out the 4, 7, 8. Really pretty robust pocket hit there. Skip had, I think he had 3 strikes in the first string of this match. Really throwing a lively ball. Bob Whitcomb with a spare in the 5th on that 3-10 split, covering both pins with the ball. Skippy looking for the double once again. Doesn't get it, leaving the 4, 7, and 10. Piece of wood in front of the 4, and it's a little bit out in front, so he might be able to kick it around and see if he can get the spare, something to come over to get the 10. Not quite, it'll be a 9 fill. 9 on the strike, and Bob Whitcomb does not get that 2-pinner. I just don't know how that didn't go. That was, it really just looked like he hit it. There had to be another piece of wood in there that prevented that from going. Maybe I'll do a separate segment just on that little 2-pinner to do a slow-mo just to see how that didn't go. In any case, that is a 10 box for Bob Whitcomb in the 6th. Chris Sacchetti, kind of full on the head pin. He's got the 4 and 6. Piece of wood angled in front of the 4, but I don't think it's covering the 6. So he's going to have a difficult time getting both of these. And that pin comes across and takes out the 6. That was the wood in the gutter. That was the wood on the lane, hit the wood in the gutter, knocked it off the wall, and it came rolling over to get the 6. Probably not what he had in mind, but who knows? Sometimes you can actually play a piece of wood that's in the gutter. And that might have been one of those times. Tough leave here, 4, 7, 8, 10. And Chris punches out the 4 pin. Obviously not too happy with that because he badly needed another spare at this point in the proceedings. And he'll take an 8 in the 6th box. Shawn Baker working on the 7-10. And is it going to go? I don't think so. That 7 is wobbling almost as far over as a pin can possibly wobble and not fall, but it doesn't go. As he utilized some wood to try and convert the 7-10. But he'll take a 10 box. So the score is 81 to 71. That means that out of that 27 pin lead is down to 17 for Shawn Baker with 4 boxes to go, if I'm reading the scoreboard correctly. Bob Whitcomb drops 7. He has 1, 2, and 10. That piece of wood looked like it was going to be helpful, but it rolled closer out towards the gutter, so that's not going to help him very much. He's going to really just have to make this. And he's almost able to do it, but not quite. 2 pin came off the wall and slid all the way across the deck in front of the 10 pin, went in the gutter. So Bob will be open in the 7th. That'll be a 9, and he's kind of surprised that didn't go. Or maybe he's not surprised at this point. Skip Easterbrooks with an 8 drop in his 8th box. He's got this match pretty well in hand at this point, and he adds a spare in the 8th. Bob Whitcomb leaves 3, 5, 6, 7. Very difficult leave, and being down 17, he really needs to make a run at this one. Wow, that's a great shot by Bob Whitcomb. Let's take a look at this. The 3 pin just clips the 5 on its way over to get the 7. Just catches enough of the 5 to knock it down, and he converts that split. That's a fantastic shot, and right in a clutch situation. And Bob is the type of bowler that he has the way to almost will any spare into submission. I mean, when he has when he needs a mark, there's almost no lead that he can't make. But he still is going to need more than that, being down 17 and up against Shawn Baker, who is not about to take a break. He's got 9 with a plank, just a 3 pin, so he's probably going to extend the lead at this point. Got it. So he's already added 1 to make it 18, but then he's going to extend it some more with the fill in the 8th. Chris Sacchetti with a spare in the 8th. But as I mentioned, Skip Easterbrooks has a pretty substantial lead at this point with only 2 boxes to go. Shawn Baker with 6. So if my math is correct, he now leads by 24 through 7. And he'll be open in the 8th. Just the head pin remaining to try and check a 10 box. And that'll be a 9. So I think that is a 23 pin lead, minus whatever Bob Whitcomb puts together on the first ball here. Meanwhile, Skip Easterbrooks with a 9 fill on the spare, leaving the 10 pin. Mr. Comcast looking for his, oh no, looking for his 2nd straight mark, and he's got it. So he's really not leaving any room for Chris Sacchetti to come back at this point. Bob Whitcomb with a badly needed 9 drop. Gets the lead back into the teens. He's got to make this spare, and he does. So he has to have another mark here in the 10. Skippy not able to get that wood to cover the 7/8, but I don't think it's going to matter. He's got a big lead over Chris Sacchetti. Bob Whitcomb with just a 4 fill. And this is pretty much mandatory that he make this spare and then put a big fill on it. See if he can do it. Not this time. So it's looking like Shawn Baker will move on, along with Skip Easterbrooks. Chris Sacchetti with 2 boxes to go, and wow, that looked like a strike, but it's somehow the 4 pin stood up. And it's still there. And Chris Sacchetti with a 6. And I think he's going to concede the match to Skip Easterbrooks at this point. Final score will be, we'll give that to you in just a moment. I have it down as 269 to 218. And there is a strike by Shawn Baker. Here's another look at it. This one really doesn't take long at all to go down. Sturdy 1-3 pocket hit. Shawn will move on to the next, he'll move on to the quarterfinal round in the Pro Series, and we have some action from that round that will be coming up later on. Shawn punching through the middle. He'll have one more ball to fill up the strike, and then we will show you the scores in both matches. That'll be a 9 fill. And that's a 135 game for Shawn Baker. Here's the 138 to 109 in the Skip Easterbrooks Chris Sacchetti match, and you can see the final is 269 to 218. And Shawn Baker and Bob Whitcomb, as you can see, the final was 276 to 247.